Hello, hello. Better late than never, right? That's what I'm going to assume. So, let me start off by saying for whoever stops by, welcome. I hope that you enjoy my rant that I'm fixing to go on. Um, just to give information in case somebody stops by that's never been to one of my videos, I need to make this very, very clear. I knew absolutely nothing about the Karen Reed case other than she was being tried for backing into her boyfriend, Officer John O'Keefe. I didn't watch anything before the trial. I didn't watch any pretrial rulings. I saw absolutely nothing. I'm not from up north. I know no one. I have no dog in this fight whatsoever. During the trial is where I got my information and formed my opinions. I paid attention to the evidence just as someone would if you were sitting on a jury, and that's how I formed my opinions. And we're all entitled to our opinions. So it's not that I'm trying to call anyone out for their opinions. They're certainly entitled to them. However, excuse me, I ran across this YouTube video last night, and I don't know what I was searching for, something on Karen Reed and Kerri Roberts, and this video came up, and it just, I have to say, after listening to these women on this video, they continually talk about Common Sense 101. And I was just about in stitches watching them. Hey, my person's monkey, how are you? Hey, mother of Vincent LaPlute. I hope y'all are doing well. So this this video that I ran across are these are a group of women that apparently this, I have no idea about the channel. I haven't researched the channel. I've not watched anything else on this channel, so I know nothing about this. But the video that I saw last night honestly was giving me a comic feeling. Um, I I just, for the life of me, couldn't figure out how these people are sitting here. Excuse me, I just ate my taco soup, but I couldn't figure out how these people were sitting here going, Common Sense 101. Yeah, it's Common Sense 101. Now, my memory is not the greatest. So even though I watched this last night, I'm probably not going to remember the things correctly. So we'll watch a lot of the video. It's 2 hours long. I'm sure it's not going to be 2 hours, hopefully, that we watch. But bear with me because there's a place where Kerri Roberts is talking, and she's talking about that Google search. And she said they asked her something about did she ever hear, she never heard any, she didn't hear anything about the Google search out of Karen's mouth, but she knows it happened. And I was all but just dying out laughing at that point because how does she know it happened if she never heard anything? Well, she knows it happened because Jennifer McCabe told her it did. And in Carrie's mind, that is her knowing what happened, which I found rather funny because there's nothing to back it up. But I say that we're, for one, people that look at that search and then they go back and they look again and they even see Mr. Green, and We know that that company, right, that Ian Whiffen worked for, we know, yeah, she is a proven liar. We know that they changed their program because of the fact it was showing that she Googled that at 2:27 and 40 seconds. And they're saying, well, no, she really didn't. But the other software picks it up as well. So for those of us that sat here and we believe that, Celebrite, which has been used to put away many, many people, um, we just choose to believe that. Well, this is my thought. My thought is, this is my thought. We know that Jen McCabe's husband has something to do with technology of some sort, right? We know that Officer Garino says that it it wasn't there. See, that the whole thing is these women keep skipping over is Officer Garino had to have seen that search when he downloaded, okay, because it was there. But if you take Officer Garino and you say, wow, what about Sandra Birchmore? And what, 35,000? 35,000 messages he was not able to find. Oh, my person's monkey says 3,232,709 text messages. So, um, I was a little above, right? So we know that he said he couldn't find those. Why would you expect his report in Karen Reed's case to be any different? You see, if he needed to get rid of any messages, he could do that before he submitted the information to Celebrite. And then what they have is a company that has had two two situations, according to what what's his face? See, I forget. Ian Whiffen said two cases of the same thing. And what that is you have someone, hmm, so you have somebody who we know lies. She lied to the grand jury. And this same someone is saying, but I didn't Google that. So Garino goes to Ian Whiffen. Well, actually, it goes to Celebrite for some assistance. Now, mind you, they knew it could possibly be coming at them because this, as I said, these are just my thoughts, but they thought, maybe the defense wouldn't be bright enough to catch it because that group of officers involved in the John O'Keefe trial didn't seem to care about finding any credible evidence about what actually happened. So, common sense 101, ladies. Let me start with a few things that make common sense. Common sense 101. Karen Reed, after drinking with John O'Keefe, did as she was requested and she drove John O'Keefe to the Alberts home. She didn't know if they were really truly welcome, and she also didn't feel very good at the time and just wanted to go home. John, on the other hand, wasn't finished partying. So she watches him start going to the door, and people make fun of the way she said skip run. I mean, I've seen people do that. So in my mind, I can picture skip run, especially in the cold. So you have her dropping him off. Now, when he gets out of the car, or when he gets out of her vehicle and she sees him going toward the door, and then at some point she looks down. This is all information that I've gathered out there on the internet, and yes, the few things that I've seen that Karen Reed has said. I don't know Karen Reed. I'm not speaking for Karen Reed. I'm not friends with any of them. Um, I mean, I could very well be their friend. My heart goes out to them for everything they've been through, and I am a very strong empath. So um, I feel like I know, or I don't know. I feel like my thoughts are really close to the reality for Karen Reed, and I could be dead wrong. I could be dead wrong. I have no degree. I haven't studied anything or body language or anything, and I have so many thoughts on Karen Reed after the trial as well. And maybe I'll get into that as well because I've heard things. Obviously, you're going to hear things if you're in the Karen Reed group, and I know there were some issues, and um, I'm not trying to start a war or start an argument, nor do I want one. I don't mean any drama in what I'm fixing to say, but I'm going to give my opinion. In my opinion, after Karen was acquitted, no one, unless they were in those shoes, could understand how she felt. Everyone could guess and assume, but no one could know how she was going to feel, including Karen Reed. From an outsider looking in, what I saw was in the very beginning, because I did go back after the first trial, I did go back and start doing some research because Beverly just kept declining everything. And I was like, what? What? I've never seen anything like that. I will say I've watched the Brian Walsh trial, and there are judges in that area that I feel would have given Karen Reed a very fair trial. The judge that sat on the bench for the Walsh case was a very no nonsense judge, very in command of her courtroom. Respect was given. She never once had to remind anyone that she had the power or she was all this, as Beverly constantly had to point out. She was a judge that when she took that bench and you listened to her and you watched her, the amount of respect that I have for that judge. Now, excuse me, I understand I'm just some old lady, right? But I watched a lot of chat talking about the respect that they have for that judge. I don't remember her name. I will find it eventually and mark it in my brain, but it's not marked there because I wasn't on here to talk about that. But I did want to state that she showed us there are true judges in that area. Beverly Canone, in my opinion, what she did was I've never seen anything like it. To me, it was like watching a circus, and it was watching someone who you could tell did not like one side and was favoring the other side. She wasn't letting evidence in. She didn't let the attorneys ask questions that they needed to get answers to. Frenier. She excellent judge, excellent. I just very, very, very impressed with her. So I don't, Beverly Canoni, knowing that it was televised, knowing Anybody could see it. Any other judge, any other party could watch that and see her behavior. And apparently, her behavior is very accepted in Massachusetts because, hey, they pat her on the back and call her the judge of the year or some shit like that. Excuse my language. But it was very disappointing to me. I am old enough. Karen Reed could be my daughter. And I mean, I have children her age, so I guess so, right? But how is it that you can come in with no idea of what's going on in the trial? So you're just sitting there like a juror, and you get to come in and you get to let the case be proven. It either is or it isn't. So for those of us that didn't go to standouts, didn't know of the trial before Karen Reed, didn't have any idea what a turtle boy was, much less who he was. And yet we watched the trial and we're like, oh my gosh, how can this be happening? This is 2025 and this is the United States of America. How can this be happening? So we did not allow, like in the second trial, she didn't allow Mr. Easter to come in and testify. Why not? If your folks all did great, why not? Oh, because there was no investigation. If he would have gotten up there and said that and not even call them out for it, just lay out what you should do when you come upon a scene like that because they didn't do anything they should have done. The blood that they collected in the solo cups, big deal collecting them. They never tested them. Never tested them. So, I'm sorry, my nose is just too, boy, I look like a mess, don't I? So, we have that. We have the fact that they didn't separate the witnesses. Now, in my opinion, just in my opinion, they should have all been suspects, not witnesses, and you should have separated them because Karen Reed told them she was dropping John O'Keefe. She dropped her boyfriend off and he never came home. But they deny she said that statement. Um, Common Sense 101. Jen McCabe, just watching her behavior on a stand, not knowing Jen McCabe at all, right? Not knowing at all. So just watching her busy self, her busybody self, and knowing that that was her sister's home, no amount of money could convince me that she didn't know her sister was okay. Because even though they claimed one thing, even all through the trial, they claimed Karen Reed did it. And all their friends claimed Karen Reed did it. They didn't see anything. Not only did they not see anything, oh, yeah, the second trial, the Commonwealth changed their case and they changed their timeline because in the first trial, you have Jennifer McCabe saying that she was messaging the John O'Keefe in the vehicle at 12:45 when he was out front of her sister's home. So we're going to pretend that Jen McCabe hadn't talked to her sister, no idea what's going on, pulls up on that front yard. There is a deceased police officer in that yard. She's not answering her phone. Her husband's not answering his phone. And you aren't alerting the police that, oh my God, this is my sister's house. And they're not answering their phones either. I have no idea if they're okay. Maybe they're not okay. My brother-in-law actually works for the Boston PD. He puts away really bad criminals, and he sleeps with his flipping door unlocked. Like we believe that one, right? Because if you take the supposed type of criminals that the supposed bad Mr. Brian Albert went after, I wouldn't be sleeping with my doors unlocked, let alone I bet he had a lot of enemies, 'cause he seems like a real you know what. So, Jen McCabe, the Miss Busybody Two Shoes, has no concern for her family in that house. Why not? Common Sense 101 says because she knew without a doubt they were fine. And the only way she could know that without a doubt is having spoken to them. So, in my opinion, that's Common Sense 101. The police officers, I could have done a better job. Separate the witnesses or possible suspects. If nothing else, you could have gone and you could have rushed right on in and you could have done a safety check. I keep listening to all this. Well, I couldn't get a warrant. I couldn't this. I couldn't that. And in my simpleton mind, I'm like, hey, you could do a safety check if nothing else. I mean, you have a dead body on the front lawn. Let's go make sure there's nobody else in the home. And don't give me that he couldn't be pronounced yet because you knew what was probably going to happen. And even if you didn't know that he was on the brink of passing away, are you going to tell me that you wouldn't have been concerned for the people in the house? So you would have either been concerned for the people in the house harming the person on the front yard, or you would have been concerned for the people in the house as being harmed themselves. So Common Sense 101 says there's no way Jennifer McCabe would not have shared the fact that was her sister's home. That's just That's just my opinion. And yes, I do remember where she said we flipped him over. So I don't know if that was because they didn't know where he was. I mean, if she didn't know that he was, I don't know, found the right face up, she thought he was found face down. So we have that. We have the fact that no officer, no one doing any investigation whatsoever, tried to get any ring video from the area, from the people across the street. And once again, we have Brian Albert saying, oh, I didn't hook mine up yet. I'm an officer with the Boston Police Department. I sleep with my door unlocked because I'm an idiot. And on top of sleeping with my door unlocked, I have a surveillance system that I don't even bother turning on. And on top of that, I sleep with my glasses. I think it was his glasses. We know. Well, I would hope not his glasses, because if you think about where his phone ended up, I'd hate to think his glasses ended up there, because apparently his behind cheeks were calling Brian Higgins, and Brian Higgins' behind cheeks was picking up the phone, and the cheeks were having a conversation. Not a long one, but a short one. But anyway, we got two men whose buttocks are conversing with each other. Yeah, Common Sense 101. I've never seen so many butt dials in my life. So that is common sense. The other thing is, why didn't they test the blood that was found, that they put in the Solo cups? They didn't test it. Why not? I know that it would have been John O'Keefe's, but I also feel that we would have some other people's blood in there, and that would have helped solve the case a little better. There is absolutely no way John O'Keefe was struck by a car. We were told that by ARCA. We were told that by, was it Dr. Scordiabello? There were no X-rays, says the Commonwealth, and and they're guys in a blue space cadet attitude. Um, Aperture, that's it, Aperture. You know what they cost them about a million bucks almost, and they did that paint test, and he stepped into the car with his arm just so. Well, that's not how that would have happened anyway. You're not recreating the accident because, as he said, he didn't have enough information to recreate the accident. How much sense does that make, folks? Let me take a swig here. I'm so sorry. Our weather goes back and forth, back and forth. Tomorrow it's supposed to be in the high 70s. My husband's on his second go round of pneumonia within 2 months. So, I mean, who knows? Anyway, yeah, that just makes no sense. It makes no sense that they didn't find any tail light at all when they first arrived. But after about 8 inches or 14 inches more of snow dumped on the lawn, they came back and lo and behold, they discovered some tail light. Wow. How about them apples? There was enough snow on the ground when John O'Keefe was found to track a cat, and that was from their own witness. You know, the weatherman who was going to tell us that the ground was so frozen that John O'Keefe could have fallen and hit his head and been unalived. The car backed into him and he spun around. What's really sad is everybody seemed to say he spun around, so that means Trooper Paul was the closest to anybody. The problem is, and see, I'm jumping all around, but let's go back to the very beginning. In the very beginning, she was not charged with the Big M. And I can't say, I'm just going to take a gander, and I'm going to guess that in the early days, they were trying to convince Mr. Yannetti and Karen Reed that there was no other thing. I mean, it had to be. She just had to have backed into him not knowing or whatever, and you know, they were just pulling that. And then somehow, and this is just my guess. So Karen Reed, no telling what was said to her by Jennifer McCabe. No telling. Well, we do know that they told her to shut the F up, and both people claim to have really been good friends of hers. So while she is hysterics running around that yard after finding the man she was in love with, not them, they were really good friends who loved him as a good friend, but she was the one in a relationship with him. She finds him in the yard. Yes, they all found him, but did you not hear her on the dash cam video? She's in hysterics. The woman is losing it. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? So they tell her to shut the F up. That shows just how much compassion they had for her, right? Well, this is the thing, Mother Vincent LePew, because she's being sued by the O'Keefes and pursuing her lawsuit. It's going to be a little bit before that. Now, I believe that they're going to have I believe they have movie rights or, all those rights wherever. She's got things to do, but Karen Reed didn't do is walk away. She didn't walk away. She is still fighting, and she could have walked away and said, oh, good grief. She could have walked away. She didn't have to still be fighting this, trying to get justice for John O'Keefe and trying to see to it that laws in Massachusetts are changed. She had her focus and her life on a path that she felt this was her life, right? And that all changed that night. Everything in her life changed that night. So when she was acquitted, and she's not acting like people think she should be acting, I don't understand why people have a preconceived notion of how she should act. I don't see why or how people don't look at the fact that she, in my opinion, distanced herself from Turtle Boy because she learned a few things during that trial. She learned that she probably shouldn't say very much in public because it taken out of context, it can look really bad. Also, if she's friendly to Turtle Boy, then it's just more for the Commonwealth to keep on saying, oh my gosh, she had him intimidate witnesses. And she's got enough to worry about without that. So I think, in my humble opinion, she just distanced herself from a situation that right now she doesn't have the time or the energy to fight. And she shouldn't have to fight it. I mean, it's already gone in front of a grand jury and they've already said, no bill on it, but they keep trying to bring this up and to fight it. So they just won't let that go, right? I think that she is very grateful, very thankful for everyone. Yeah, I know that one. That's true. My person's monkey. They are still trying to charge her with it, and they're still trying to link it to Turtle Boy. So this is just my humble opinion as an old woman, and I'm sitting here going, it's not that she didn't appreciate what he did for her, but she just can't have that many skillets on the stove at one time. And right now, she's got plenty. She's got the civil lawsuit, and she is going after the people who did her wrong. And I'm sure she's going to be very vocal in getting some reforms done to the Massachusetts laws. She's not going to just stop and hope, well, the next person who can't afford this, y'all just go on to prison because, hey, that's just the way it is around there in Canton. Just take your medicine. And that's my opinion. And no, I don't know her. So I could be dead wrong. And I'm sure that people will, well, it's not like many people watch me anyway, but, you know, to, that's my opinion. My opinion is that after she was acquitted, she went into self preservation and she went into a new normal, which is still a new normal. She probably had expectations for how she would feel, and she probably didn't feel exactly that way. And so, therefore, she's having to adjust and work on absorbing it all while still just close one door of a courthouse and the other one burst open because of this lawsuit from the O'Keefes. And then for people to say, if you say anything about the O'Keefes, you're like an evil person. And what I say about the O'Keefes is not being um, a rude person or an uncaring person or an uncaring mother. But even my husband, who has absolutely nothing to do with true crime, does not understand my obsession with it, listened to a lot of the second trial. And I asked my husband if he were in that situation and it was one of his family members that had been unalived, how would he feel towards the case in the Commonwealth? Because I thought, let's get somebody who's not into it like I am, not all, and he's not an empath, so an empath. I say it wrong all the time, but so he said he'd be pretty PO'd at the Commonwealth because it was real obvious they didn't have the right person. And if it would have been related to that person, it would have made it 10 times worse. He'd have been a lot angrier. So we're just people with opinions. That's all we are. I'm just a simple person. I've always been just a simple person. And my thought process is pretty easy thought process. And most of it involves common sense. Some of it involves feelings. I don't know how to say it. There's just this, I, people go to school and they study and they can read things and say why they feel this way. It's because this person's blink rate or this, that, and no, I just listen and there's either a feeling or not a feeling. I don't know how to describe it. It's just, I don't know, intuition, whatever. But I think that that is the reason, and I know there's a lot of division in what they call her support group and his support group when you can support both people. Um, and I don't think anyone should be mad at Karen Reed for how she behaves right now, who's in her circle right now, how she's processing her life right now. Karen Reed, on the 29th of January, 2022, her life changed. She had no idea. She had no idea that people she thought were her friends were going to turn on her, that she was being blamed when she found John O'Keefe in the snow and she was hysterics and she had to go to the hospital because her family was afraid she would maybe self-harm. And then they try to say she did it, just an ugly, ugly thing that she did. And to say that Common Sense 101 will prove that she did it, I really can't say that I feel that way. So let me show you some of this, and maybe y'all have seen it. Um, all right, let's see. I'm not the best at this, so some of this I'm just going to speed through.
Him money to go get my husband a Christmas gift one year. It was like a couple years ago. He was really
Okay, just a second. Yeah, that's not. Okay,
It's the
so
nylon
looky
era.
here.
It was.
So, guys, right here, um, a blast from the past. They went to the prom together, and oh, how cute, right? And oh my goodness. So we've got that. That was they talked about this for a while. They also had pictures of the children and John. I'm gonna go past those because there's no reason for that. So and whoa, okay. Okay, that's another, blast from the past thought. Oh, this is let's see.
That's tough, and I'm so sorry that you've been through that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm sorry for all of us because I feel like all of us that loved him and were close to him, we're all in the same boat. It's like this circus has taken over and nobody remembers him. They only remember one name and it's not his. And he's the one that ultimately paid the price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so I need to say right there that even though I didn't know John O'Keefe and I'm not involved in any of that, what I do realize is that everyone who wants justice for Karen Reed wants justice for John O'Keefe, and for them to continually say that we don't want justice for him because we support Karen Reed is just rather insulting, really. Rather insulting, especially she's been through 2 trials. The first one would have given her a not guilty. We know that by the conversations had with the jurors. Number 2, the second trial, she was acquitted, but she was also factually proven innocent. Factually proven innocent. The facts do not support the Commonwealth. When you take that sleaze, slimy snake Brennan and you give him that sweatshirt and he walks up to that ARCA guy and he's like, the holes in the back, the holes in the back, that's trying to say it was road rash. And even our ARCA guy then is going, but that wasn't made by that, even though he didn't know at the time. Oh, these holes were cut. Brennan knew that. I don't care if he sits on a stack of Bibles saying he didn't. Brennan did know that. Brennan was grasping at every straw he could to find a way to make sure Karen Reed was convicted. It didn't matter, in my opinion, if he was lying or not to the jury. And that seems to me he had no problem crossing some boundaries. And Beverly, she had no problem allowing them. So the woe is me right here. They're sorry that she had to go through all this. But did anybody ever think to say to Karen that they're so sorry she had to go through all this? Karen Reed finds John O'Keefe, goes to the hospital, gets out, and goes back to One Meadows and is given the cold shoulder of America, is not comfortable there. Who knows if she was given any medication, not given any medication? Does it matter? It doesn't matter. But the point is, then she goes to her parents' house, and then the as it the Mass State Police come and they take her phone, they take her car, and all of this is from having conversations with the McAlberts. Proctor has already made up his mind. That's what people keep saying, oh, 16 hours in or this hour. No, no. As soon as Proctor spoke to Jen McCabe, his mind was made up. That's my opinion. Now, the question is he so stupid to think that the McAlberts are telling the truth. And in my mind, I have to say, but he knows it wasn't true because he is going to know what that tail light looked like when they confiscated the car. And that tail light was intact. It was missing, it was cracked and missing a piece. And the officer from that town has more moral fortitude than anyone in that area. He knows it was not busted to smithereens and back. But Brennan tried to say, oh, he discredited him too. He got him confused basically to this, that, and the other. And no, he knows it wasn't. So they take the car back to the Sallyport. Grainy, ugly video, missing video, inverted video, video not presented on the first trial, but whoa, here we have it for the second trial. I mean, come on, people. Give me a break. Common sense 101. We'll get to the common sense 101. I'm just looking for it.
And I've seen, I mean, I haven't
Yep.
seen what has happened here ever before, but I have seen to this extent, but I have seen that happen in other cases where it's, you know, the name of the person responsible or the defendant is the headline everywhere you go. And, you know, the victims are, you know, not as easily named by people who are consuming the news.
Mhm.
And I've been covering actually one of the cases that Alan Jackson is also a part of, the Pepperdine case that's out in Malibu, California, and 4 girls lost their lives. And although I feel like, you know, in every headline, you can't write all 4 names all the time, you know, versus the defendant's name is obviously probably a little bit easier and quicker
Okay,
in the
I'm not going to
headline.
listen. I thought we were further in that. Whoops. All right, so hold on just a second. At least I have this. So I should think, oh, for Christ's sakes. Okay, they were talking about how big it is there. All right, let's see. Now this is funny.
Upper middle class neighborhood, correct?
I mean, that's not, but this.
So you've got
Yes.
people that
I
have
think
time
so.
on their
Yeah.
hands
I think so.
to make up rumors and fill their lives, right?
Right.
So
right.
Kerri, there have been some things that have leaked. They're texts of Karen's, and there is a text that upsets me
Oh
that
Lord, we
Karen
gotta talk
sent
a little
to Aiden
faster.
Carney. Do we have that text?
Yes. Give me 1 second and I'll pull it up. Here.
Yeah. Karen, who is so upset by the names that Michael Proctor called her, who is not afraid to liberally use those same words on her own and accuse people of things that they did not do. So we'll wait for the text to come up. And then I really want to hear how you feel about this, because I think that so many people surrounded by John have been maligned by Karen and by these people. And so here, I'm not going to read the word, but Karen is trying to make it seem like, you know, she's the only female in the world that Patrick can depend on, when we all know that's not true. And she says Kerri Roberts is an effing see you next Tuesday name, and always has been. So that's interesting.
That's interesting.
And yep. And so according to our friend Karen, you had Patrick kicked out of the pool. So, you know, again, those of us that have seen these leaks.
Okay, I thought that was a different thing. So the deal is she says that Karen has it all wrong, and that she knew Patrick didn't have membership to that pool, and that it was going to cost $5 for him to go swimming, and she just wanted to make sure he had the $5. So that's her side of the story. So we'll say that. All right. So it takes her a long time to explain that. They call Karen a chameleon. They're talking about her not being on Facebook or any of that. And but here, let's listen. Here you go. Ready?
The answer would have been no. So the question
Meaning
was
in the grand jury.
in the
grand jury.
in the grand jury when she was being indicted. And I don't think my testimony had anything to do with her being indicted.
Right.
I'm pretty sure if I wasn't there, it may have still happened.
No,
I might be wrong.
I think that you confirming Jennifer McCabe stating Karen Reed told her to make that Google search, I think had a whole lot to do with them charging her with the big M, Miss Roberts. They were they were going to go for it, and you were able to say it because, after all, you knew it happened, and you knew it happened because Jennifer McCabe told you it happened because y'all made timelines. Although when you make your timelines, usually everybody writes down their memory of the events and then they combine them and they see what all is the same, what may be missing. Oh, there's holes here, there. You don't sit down and say, oh, write down in this order and start deciding what happened. So, timeline.
The perjury thing, I think the question started with like, what if anything, of course, that's what we start with.
Of
What if
course.
anything, did you hear happen in the back of the car, when you were in the back of the cruiser? And so that you heard. And so I start to tell the story of what happened in the back of the cruiser. Now, I was staring at the ambulance. Again, I didn't know Jen, and Karen was like screaming, and I was like, I can't with either one of you, because I didn't know Jen, and my friend is in trouble, and I am focused. I'm staring at the ambulance. I knew there was Google search because Jen and I did a timeline that Mrs. O'Keefe had asked us to do. And so my response is, at some point, there was a Google search, how long to whatever. And then she said, and this is this is documented. Do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? So I go to say like whatever may have happened in the back of the car, but I specifically say, and then she said. So let's remember, the Google search wasn't a thing at this time.
All right, so Google search was not a thing at the time because why? Because the Commonwealth had hid it. Da-da! But even if you take the Google search out of it, like I think that the defense realized in trial 2.0, it just wasn't worth it to even discuss it, right? I mean, the Google search, yeah, it makes it seem like Jen knows when he's going to be put outside. That's what it makes it look like. But, you know, um, you wouldn't want to look at it that way, right? So, but if you take away the Google search, take it away. Just minus it out. Minus it out. It still doesn't Karen Reed did anything. It appears she dropped him off and she went home. There is no way all the people that left that house would not have seen a person laying in the snow, the ground that was barely started to be covered, barely starting to stick when these people were going home. The blizzard was not in full force until in the morning. Around the time they found him is when it all picked up. That's when the storm started catching some strength, okay? So we don't need any more of that. Let me see. Google search, in my opinion, is not that big of a deal. It's really not because, yeah, they all play on words. And that, forget this. What is this? Let's see. Let's see. Here's something else you want to point out real quick.
is that the irony of this. So, and I find this very important. So, in the email that got shown, these were communications between Alan Jackson and ARCA's Daniel Wolf. And these were not handed over until the defense was cornered about having communications that they were not being transparent about. And in them, one of the things that Daniel Wolf says to Alan Jackson is, yes, I realized in my testimony that I said it was 20 times when you have asked how many I've been qualified for. I misinterpreted the question. My fault, 11 trials, 7 depositions. Not sure if you want me to clear that up. Now, it's a little shady that he's like, do you want me to clear?
All right, guys. Is this what you call making a mountain out of a molehill? Because there's really nothing in this. There's nothing in here. Big deal. This was turned over in communication. Nothing hidden, nothing funny, no funny business going on here. Nor is it odd that he erased all of his messages with his client after the trial was over. Duh, but make that into a big deal. So I thought this was just really stretching it, if you would.
Up, but whatever, we can have a little grace for that, right? But it makes you want to ask, hey, did you berate this guy for misinterpreting something on the stand? Because we know you didn't, right?
Oh my God. And so he should have berated him. Now, what she's talking about right there, she's making a big deal out of the fact that Daniel Wolf, I believe he said he had testified in 20 trials. And he was just clarifying some there. Big flipping deal. But Alan Jackson didn't put him up there and just grill him because he messed it up. Oh my gosh, no, he didn't. But I think that Slimebag Snake, I think he did, the best he could with anything. So why? But that's ridiculous.
Right.
You are using a different measuring stick
Right.
for how you are treating one witness with another witness. And it's like he didn't want that, right? He wanted you to look like, again, the semantics of misinterpretation, it's a lie.
Right.
You know, those two things are one and the same. No one in their life would ever say a misinterpretation is a lie, right? I mean, a misinterpretation or however you say, however you answer that question, was how you were wording it and what you were saying was your truth, right? You were just answering the question as best you can.
Mhm.
So anyways, I didn't mean to go on a tangent. I'm kind of a word nerd.
So anyways, this is all over Kerri Roberts, I think, right, where she admitted on the stand that she lied, and then she changed her mind on here saying, well, she didn't lie, and Lowley's question really wasn't very good, right? Yeah, so they're told us, Miss O'Keefe told them to write it down. Oh, here, this is funny. Let me just do this.
The question now, had I been stopped and said, nope, that's not the question I asked, could you just answer this? It would have been different. And it's not Adam Lalley's fault. It just, I didn't lie. I told what I knew happened in the car because we did a timeline that Mrs. O'Keefe told us to do. She literally said, like, to me, you guys need to write this down because if this, you're not going to remember this if this is ever a trial or a thing or whatever. She's a cop's mom. Like, she was like, you need to write it down. So we did. And Jen had said to me, do you remember when she asked me to Google? And I was like, no, because I didn't, but I knew it happened.
Right. Right. And
okay, did you hear that? I knew it happened. I knew it happened. How did she know it happened? Because Jennifer McCabe told her it happened. That's how she knew it happened. She didn't see it. She wasn't there. She didn't hear it with her own ears. She was told it happened by Jennifer McCabe. So, because Jennifer McCabe told her it happened, she knows it happened. I mean, is this not this is crazy. Yeah, personally, I think John was a pretty big player too. And the reason that I say that, no disrespect whatsoever, but because of the age, because of the fact he wasn't married. And let me also say, they keep stating everything good about this gentleman and that he deserves justice because he was such a good person, basically. Everybody deserves justice. Everybody. And he having a big heart for his family does not make Karen Reed a killer. It just doesn't. It doesn't. And for you guys, I don't know what they've got in the water where y'all are, but to me, y'all are the group that's like not realizing that what's nuts is expecting anyone to believe that Karen Reed did anything. And the thing is if the O'Keefes were angry and wanted to go after someone, in my opinion, they should have gone after the Commonwealth because the Commonwealth did not investigate the passing of their son. And if you have any question about whether they are capable of doing any type of investigations, go watch the Brian Walsh trial. Watch the portions that just the local police did because they tried their very best to not bring in stuff that the MSP did. They did bring in some, but not a lot. So you can always check that out. But this is just crazy to be acting like this, in my opinion.
Obviously, they're trying
Well, it's a
to
smart
paint
thing
a
to
picture.
do.
Well,
Right, the
I'll
timeline.
advise anybody in my shoes to do it because
Right.
Right.
I don't
I mean,
remember
and she
things.
wanted to know what happened to her son, and she wanted you guys to remember what happened to her son.
100%.
And, how dare she, right? As everyone else says,
100%.
I
want,
just,
want.
Is that Jennifer McCabe's sister right there talking? I believe that right there. But the thing is if people go back to that day and look at how fast they decided it was Karen Reed and started talking to Peg about it, but yet Peg, and I say Peg because not as an endearment, but I don't want to say Peggy because that just makes her sound like a teeny bopper. But she nobody bothered to ask Karen Reed, "Did you run over him? How did you do that? How did it happen?" Nobody bothered to ask her. Right. Well, to them, she didn't lie, though. That's what's so funny, is they say she didn't lie. You know, the question wasn't asked right or something. But you hear her right here say, "But I know it happened. I didn't hear it, but I know it happened." Mm. All right, let's see.
the people
Yeah.
that have anything bad to say about Mrs. O'Keefe, I hope you burn in hell. Like, it's just like how you don't know her, you know what she's been through, and you have terrible things to say about her. Like, you're just, there's a special place
Yeah.
for people that have something to say.
Even if you
Well,
believe
to
Karen
suggest
is
that she's a
innocent,
co-conspirator is ridiculous. Like,
right?
All of
And
it
if
is
you think
ridiculous.
Karen is innocent,
Co-conspirator. It's not conspiracy theorists. The bottom line is, look at this man's arm. It was torn up by a dog. It was not attacked by a taillight, ladies. It was not attacked by a taillight. And if it would have been attacked by a taillight, there would still be shards in his wounds when he went to the hospital. But there were none. So then that means they were all magical. They just kind of flew in and then flew right back out through the same holes. I mean, where is even any of this making any sense whatsoever is my question. So, my question as to how do the people believe that she's guilty is be- is mind-boggling listening to this. I mean, Kerri Roberts knows stuff happens because Jennifer McCabe said it did. And, big all important here. It's just unreal.
There is still no need to degrade a victim's mother. I mean, there's no excuse for it. And anyone who enables people who do it, I mean, you're just as bad. It's the most egregious thing. And I think that anchor Julie Grant from Court TV, I mean, she was phenomenal when she called it out, the treatment that she saw, and she got lashback from it, from the Free Karen Ree movement.
I don't know about you guys, but Judy Grant, in my opinion, is not even worth the air it would take to have her words. I have this Julie Grant is no one special. Mother of Vincent LePew, I did not know that. You work with ex-police dogs? And as soon as you saw those bites. See, when I saw that of his arm, I was like, he was bit by a dog. That was I mean, there's no car that did that. But, all right, let's see. So she got backlash from the movement. There are some people that don't like her and that say really bad things. All I'm saying is that I think that the Commonwealth has done the O'Keefes a huge injustice. And for the O'Keefes to not call it out, for them to not be asking why not, why did you not do these steps in securing a conviction, which means following all of the evidence. And they did not follow evidence. They didn't even try to accumulate evidence. They tried to make sure there wasn't anything. So I don't get, anyway, I'm not being ugly. I just don't want I just can't understand how in the world you could not be fighting mad at this because John O'Keefe was disrespected by the Massachusetts State Police and by the Canton Police. And also, they bring up the FBI quite a bit too about the FBI, this, that, and the other. First of all, nobody knows if the FBI investigation is open or closed. Nobody knows what the FBI found. And the FBI does not work on our timeline, they work on their own. And if there's just one thing that they're waiting for, they're not going to budge until they get it. So it's not that I have a whole lot of faith in the FBI, but I have more faith in the FBI than I do the Mass State Police or the Canton Police Department. And if they didn't feel there was more to this story, they wouldn't have been turning the evidence over. So, yeah, that's just my opinion, and I'm going to stick to that. So, you know, I wouldn't be sitting up here bragging about the FBI when, some of the same folks you hanging with been lying to the FBI, allegedly. So that's my opinion. Let's see what else.
I don't know, the imaging or something had the
Oh
speck on
no,
it.
we
It
don't need
wasn't.
this story. Okay, I don't need this story. Um, okay, so then they're talking about how they went to Karen saw Karen. Sorry, Karen. I didn't mean to insult you. Kerri
Get in your
Roberts
cars.
is
Let's go. We're dropping a car off. We will get
talking
in my
about how
car and we
she
will go
was
into
in
one car and then we'll
charge.
go look at him if he's not in the house. Jen just was like, okay, okay. Like she had someone show up at her house screaming, I think. And then no, it was me. It was entirely me. I was like, this is what we're doing because this is common sense 101. Like, check the freaking house. So we did. And then I was like, all right, he's not in the house. Like, let's get in the car and go. And as we're white knuckling it, Jen's in the passenger seat. She's in the back seat. No seatbelts. I'm losing my mind because if I go into a tree or something because of the storm, something could happen to her. And it was, yes, did I scream at her? I did because she wasn't putting her seatbelt on. She was acting erratic. And if she was acting cool, calm, and collected, I never would have said anything to her, but you couldn't control her. And I was trying to drive in a blizzard to look for our friend on the side of like walking. I don't know why we thought he was walking, but I was like, okay, if you think he's walking, we'll look and we'll drive the route and see if he's walking in a blizzard. Like hindsight, I'm like, he never would have walked him in a blizzard. He would have called an Uber. He would have called Kurt. He would have called anybody. But
You would have stayed the night, I'm sure, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if a blizzard was coming on.
he
Yeah.
wasn't going to walk home, but whatever. I mean, we were looking, Jen and I were looking. I don't know what she was doing in the back seat, but it was 1000% my idea. This is because it's common sense. Like we're going back to the house, we're dropping up a car, we're searching the house, and then we'll go. And this is what's happening unless somebody has a better idea. And I doubt either one of you do. No offense to either one of them, but Karen was like, she was crazy and shocked, frantic. And Jen was kind of like, what is happening? You know, like she just showed.
So Jen was just calm. Karen was out of her mind crazy. Which one was most concerned? Karen was worried because she knew he always came home because of the children.
Up at Jen's house screaming. I expected her at my house. So I was literally sitting there waiting. Jen didn't expect her. And then Jen didn't expect me because I was like, where are you? And she was like, Jen's. I'm like, Jen, who? Like, what? You were supposed to come here. Jen McCabe's. I'm like, what the fuck? What? Oh, all right, stay there. I'm going to come. And that's what happened. It's common sense. It's not hard.
Yeah. And so the defense is like Jen McCabe.
Common sense, not hard. So they're trying to, they're talking about saying that Jen wanted to go buy. Let's see.
Those
Here's
facts
just-
of what you guys did, and they constructed a story around it. And so they can construct whatever fantasy they want to construct right up to that line where they cross, where they're lying. And my personal opinion is this defense team did cross that line. But it's up to the jurors and it's up to the general public when they read this stuff to look at it.
So the defense crossed the line by proving that the Commonwealth had no facts, is what I'm guessing. Right? I know. And they did it in when they did it in the trial, and Jen, she just looked like she just had so much disdain for Karen. I literally listening to Karen screaming on those videos, I literally had tears in my eyes. You could feel her pain. You could feel her pain. And Jennifer McCabe up there going, yeah, we just told her to shut the F up. I mean, after all what? You knew that your family in the house was okay. That I can't, and don't tell me that the dog would not have just had a fit. Not only would the dog have had a fit to Karen being out on that front yard hysterical, that dog would have had a fit the minute there was a body on that front lawn. Excuse me, do they really think a German Shepherd would not have been having a cow? So I have a Pomeranian who thinks she is the biggest animal on the planet, yet she's not. And her bark is not scary. And then in January, I'll come back to this video in a minute, but January, we got a pit bull. It's a long story behind the pit bull, but she was a runt. She was very special to the person who actually saved her. She almost didn't make it. And when she barks, I'm telling you, you're not coming near my front door. If you're standing at my front door knocking, you're going to back up a few feet because her bark is telling you that she's the boss on this property. And if there was a body on my front yard, Oreo would be going bananas. I can guarantee you right now. Carrie had a crush on John O'Keefe. That's why she hates Karen. you know, uh, I think Jennifer McCabe had a crush on John O'Keefe too. Yeah, the shepherd would have heard the snow falling, but there's no way. I mean, when they talk about was the dog there in the morning, that's that question is fine and good. But my question is, did she bark all night? Because she would have alerted to John O'Keefe being out front, and it would have driven them crazy. I don't see how they could have calmed her down from that. Not in that situation. But, I could be wrong. Maybe you know, because to me, the dog is going to say, "Hey, there is danger. You're my family. There is danger. It is close by." And that would seem to me to be what the dog would do. But I am no expert in dogs. I do know that it wouldn't have just been crazy in the morning with the commotion on the front lawn. The dog would have been crazy when he was left on the front lawn. But instead, we know that the dog somehow got a hold of his arm. And it's not a conspiracy. They keep saying how people twisted it into this conspiracy, right? And it's not that we twisted it into a conspiracy. We're saying that the people in the house lied. They didn't tell the truth. They didn't tell the truth. And the reason we know they didn't tell the truth is the proof shows John O'Keefe was not hit by a car. Therefore, common sense 101 is going to tell you if Karen Reed did not hit him with her car, the only other way he would have been harmed is the people in the house, unless Higgy Bear attacked him outside the garage or something and then took him into the garage and nobody went through the garage and then he somehow got him to the front yard with nobody seeing that. But don't forget that Higgins also went back to the police station and got some stuff. We don't know if he then dropped some stuff back off at the McAlberts, do we? No, we don't know what he did. But we do know that his phone had so much stuff on it that he was afraid of that he had to tear up the SIM card and throw it in one trash dumpster on a military base and throw his phone in the other one. That's a real innocent mind, isn't it? And we also know that someone in the Albert family has to be involved and not just Chloe. If it was just Chloe, I believe that would know. Let's say that Brian Higgins somehow jumped John O'Keefe or thought he was messing around, knocks him backwards, and then he hits his head. And then they discover, oh my gosh. And in the meantime, the dog comes up, attacks him. Somebody else in the Albert family had to have been involved because they are not going to cover for Brian Higgins. Given the chance, they would throw Brian Higgins up under a bus so fast that you couldn't even jack it up fast enough to get the tire off. I mean, it would just come off on its own, right? Because they would be rolling over him. So their behavior tells you that they wouldn't be protecting Brian Higgins. And even on the stand, Brian Higgins thought he was pretty good friends with Brian Albert. Brian Albert, well, not really. Yeah, not really. So, I mean, whoa. And you're right, cars don't bite. I was so amazed when I saw I've got to learn how to do these little thingies so they don't go wherever. But I was so amazed to hear. Do you know that I really think that they were trying their very best to just convince Karen that, look, all the evidence points to you had to have backed into him. And I think they saw that arm and were like, ah, no, don't think so. Won't help. Don't check house. Get rid of phone. Demolish basement. Get rid of dog. Leave to New York. Sell house. Guilty people do this. Yes, thank you. They sure do, don't they? They really, really do. I mean, what I've seen is Karen Reed fighting for her freedom and her life because they tried to take all that away. And they tried to take it all away because they just got mad. But let's see. And they keep talking about how people look at stuff in the public. Well, and making stuff up. Okay, and then when you get to Aiden Carney,
So many people in that area fell for the whole Aiden Carney, song and dance. And when, people say that Karen was not looking for an Aiden Carney, that's a lie. John Silvera told Vanity Fair that they had tossed that around. They had tossed around involving Aiden Carney. So they knew exactly what they were doing. They knew they were going
all right, so that right there, I don't know if she's talking about once Aiden Carney actually wrote an article. Karen Reed did not even know who Aiden Carney was. She didn't know Turtle Boy. Okay, she didn't know Turtle Boy. Turtle Boy ran, and I can say this because I've heard Aiden say that he came across the story, let alone one of his friends or acquaintances had messaged him regarding the story, and that something was not right with it. And ladies, may I just say, have you watched mainstream media? Because if you have, you'll understand mainstream media puts out the narrative that people want to have put out. Don't tra- and if they did act like investigative reporting, then you wouldn't find what Aiden was doing to be so odd. Getting in people's faces, asking questions. The manner in which he does it is a little harsh for many people, but he was the only journalist that cared to investigate this story. And that was apparent. That was apparent. I mean, when I got involved and I started looking, he was the one that was way back in the beginning. At what point he and the defense started speaking is their business. You can be a source. It does not make you a guilty person in your case because you're a source.
going to give him, shake it up. Here's a set of facts that we have. This is the way we see it. It might not be reality, but you go ahead and parade it down the street, and you go ahead and jury
Is
poll.
about how much crap was put out prior to um, Michael Morrissey doing his hostage video. Thank you very much. Where he all but said Karen Reed was guilty, all but said the people in the house were nothing but innocent witnesses. And tell me who was trying to dirty up the jury poll. He was trying to make sure people believed that the McAlberts were the truth tellers and that they had nothing to do with the situation and basically that Karen Reed was guilty. Go watch the hostage video. Prior to Aiden Carney getting involved, is it? See, I always say it backwards. So, however you said it, I say it wrong. And I don't do it out of disrespect. I just forget because I hear it so many different ways. I'll just call him Turtle Boy. That way I'm not saying his last name wrong. I hate when people say his last name wrong and then I start saying it wrong and I don't mean to say it wrong. But the bottom line is Aiden was an investigator following a story, blowing it wide open. Karen Reed did not tell him to intimidate anyone. She did not ask him to do that. He has said that a million times. But all the Commonwealth wants to do is to enjoin the two. And therefore, Karen Reed distanced herself and is still remaining at a distance because she doesn't want any more garbage from the Commonwealth just because she's being a nice person and saying thank you to someone who did care and who went against everyone else and told the truth. So that's my opinion, right? Yeah, everything is weird about Higgins. He is weird. I mean, even his messages. Karen Reed, bless her heart, probably thought to herself, what was I thinking? Right? She had to have been thinking, what was I thinking after messaging with him just a little bit? And I'm not so sure that I don't think, let's put it this way, Karen Reed probably had a reason to be a little bit jealous. I think that John O'Keefe was a ladies' man, and I think he had wandering eyes. And when we drink alcohol, sometimes we don't behave, right? Oh, there's proof in Morrissey's emails. We'll see. I can't wait until all that comes out. I can't wait. Oh, that's what you said. DA's office gave mainstream media false info, and then actually there's proof. Well, remember, I heard that they said that they had, just a second, I'm going to cough. Sorry. I remember that they had said they had a video or ring camera of Karen Reed actually hitting him. That was out somewhere. I don't know where it was or when it was out or what, but all right, let's see what else. So yeah, so all of the stuff that Turtle Boy did trying to taint the jury, all the harassment that he did, asking them to tell the truth, which is rather confusing to me because I thought when you were harassing someone, you were trying to get them to do what you wanted, to tell a fib, to lean on the wrong way. But in Massachusetts, if you're asking them to tell the truth, that's witness intimidation.
zero corruption in the case of John O'Keefe, in Karen Reed's prosecution. None. Not a single.
FBI did an investigation. The Canton Police Department did an audit.
Thank you.
Oh, the audit. Let's talk about the audit. Kerri, go watch the audit. Go watch the situation of who was actually hired, what they were allowed to do, what they were given, and the facts. And the facts that are that these people, I believe that was their first audit of the kind, and they did it in a manner that supported what the Canton PD wanted them to support. And, it's kind of like when you work in a grocery store and the district manager comes in, and when he comes in, you've got all this help. You've got baggers, you've got cashiers at every aisle, at every register. Nobody's having to wait. There's not any long lines. People are getting their stuff packaged. They're getting their stuff bagged. It's a smooth. It's just go go go. And you walk up to a district manager and you say, I would like for you to know the only time it is like this is when you walk into our store, because this is not daily life around here. We run shorthanded, one bagger between three cashiers, and we never have a full line of cashiers. And let the district manager tell you, I know, same. So the audit was a joke. I've got some stuff to say about that, but that was a joke. And the FBI, get off it. I just wish they would come after everybody.
Who else needs to look at this case? Bring them. If you've got another institute that wants to look at this case, bring them all. Pay for them all. Have a fundraiser. Have
Yes.
all of these, any institution you want to come in and take a look at this case and find corruption, bring them.
Problem is you have to be able to get all of the information. And the the Canton PD, what did they do? Oh, they hid crap.
Let's do it a third, fourth, fifth time. You're
Oh,
not going to find
yeah.
it. It's insane.
These people are using
It's almost at this
they're using
point where it feels like they want a corruption story.
I was reading that there's a recent sidebar transcript from the trial whereby Judge Canoni advises AJ he is participating in an improper conduct via one of his cross examinations. Big flipping deal is what I have to say to that. For Canone to say that Alan Jackson was doing something incorrectly, improper, like, that doesn't mean it was true. Canone was the most biased judge I've ever laid eyes on.
Like, they're going to ignore all the things. The federal investigation closing with zero indications of any conspiracy. I mean, sure, we have Proctor saying some derogatory words in his text messages.
I'm guessing she wouldn't mind if Proctor was stopping her grown daughter and then treating her grown daughter as she did Karen Reed. Support those people, because you know what? You have no fear. You're in the group that would be protected. You're not in the group like the Sweeneys talk about. The regular folk, the one that aren't protected, go watch them Canton Select Board meetings. Didn't the McAlberts assaulted? Are they getting charged? Are you talking about when Jill Daniels went after Turtle Boy? Did the McAlberts assaulted? I don't get it, Erica. I think maybe I'm misreading it. You have a wonderful Christmas and a happy New Year, Mother of Vincent LePew, and you stay safe. Much love to you. Mwah. Oops, I meant to say this. All the best, Ducky. I hope your Christmas is filled with happiness. Have a great Christmas, Mother, from my person's monkey. Bobcat and Erica. Happy holidays all the way around. And yes, I hope everybody has a happy holidays. I let me see if there's more that I wanted to do
You
on
know,
this
that
note.
that can be a debate of whether that was,
Yeah, no, it wasn't just his text messages. It wasn't. And for you to not understand that, you need to go back and you need to watch. I mean, drinking on duty, driving his vehicle after he's been drinking. Um, he's really a disgusting human being. He really is very disgusting.
reasons to be fired or not in his personal phones. That's
Oh,
fine. I mean,
because he said it in his personal phones, folks. Because it was a hidden thing that he did. It should have stayed hidden. Nobody should have known what he had to say or think about Karen Reed or the investigation. It should have stayed hidden. What he did was wrong, but if they would have not gotten into his personal phone, nobody would know. That's the mind frame going on over here.
it doesn't matter in regard to the conspiracy theory because there's no indication there was any conspiring whatsoever found. And then they had like you said, the Canton Police Department audit where they had, it was
Oh my gosh, they didn't pay any attention. That audit was so laughable, it was unreal. And even the townspeople called them out for the audit. So there you go. What else were y'all talking about? I can't remember. Let's see. Ha! Brennan.
be a
Yep.
lie. It's like, um, you really think that's how that
Everyone's
works? No.
lying except for Karen. It's amazing. Like how many, I don't even know
Yes.
how many people we're up to now.
It would be over 100. Over.
Did you hear that? Nobody's lying except for Karen. And they're saying that Karen's saying everybody's lying. No, did you hear all the witnesses that she had on the stand? Did you hear them all? The auditors had no ties to Canton and had FBI, DEA backgrounds. Does not, and that was voted for with the committee by folks that did not want them doing the audit. And they came in at a price that was quoted. Just saying. And if you talk to other people that do that type of work, they say that you get what you pay for. And I am so sorry that you girls do not comprehend that audit was a laughing stock. It was a laughing stock.
100 people.
And yet Jen and I willingly handed over our phones at the very beginning.
Yes.
And it was also proven by Richard Green that Jen wiped her phone. But we won't talk about that, right? We're not going to talk about that.
She didn't willingly hand over anything.
Why should she have? She didn't do anything wrong.
Her media statements are not, her alibi stories have changed.
Alibi stories? Alibi stories. She dropped John O'Keefe at the McAlberts and she went home. She awoke a few hours later. We don't know if she drank more when she got home or not. She woke a few hours later. So after drinking, going to sleep for just a few hours, waking, he's not home, and your brain is not quite all together there. I'm sure you girls have been in that situation. But let's just hammer it home that Karen Reed is just, nobody's ever been in a situation where they've had a little too much to drink, woke up, and then are confused about something. And she got confused and he wasn't home and she got scared. She hadn't had that much sleep. But we're not going to give Karen any benefit of the doubt, right? None. Because y'all just want to say that she hit him with her car. And if the proof were there that she hit him with her car, the jury would have seen it. But there wasn't. The proof that the Commonwealth put on, whatever they wanted to call proof, was getting people to stretch and lie and say things that weren't quite right or turn it in ways that it sounded different than the reality. Kind of like y'all are blaming what the defense did. Did y'all not listen to that slime bag, Brennan? He is just lower than dirt. Well, I don't know. I don't know. There's one other person that I heard that said there was um, a sentencing would be inhumane, and her client himself wouldn't know what humanity was. He's snake. He's lower than Brennan. I'll say that, but that's for another day.
over different media interviews. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Now let's see. And Richard Green didn't change a bunch of stuff. I don't believe. I'd have to really look into that. Um, oh, here.
pieced out of court.
Hmm.
And what was that like, having someone calling you a cop killer? There's a video. I don't have
Oh my gosh. Okay, from what I understand, it was just a group of people calling the McAlberts cop killers. And that's because that's what they think they are. And she was walking with them. She wasn't there, dodo brain. So she doesn't fall in that category. Pardon me. Didn't mean to call you a dodo brain. But if you listen, they're talking about the people that were in the house because there is logically no one else left. Logically, no one else left to blame. Karen Reed did not do this to him, which means what? It means someone in the house did.
it to upload, but there's the video of you, and I believe it was Jen and Matt McCabe
Yeah, no,
walking to.
I don't care about that. There's just woe is me. I know that one morning, and I heard Turtle Boy say that when the O'Keefes were coming up, people were yelling ugly
If
things,
she was,
and,
no, she
and they
I was doing
stopped them.
CPR.
So, and I did see that when they said stop. Nobody I know thinks it's crazy that you had blankets in your car. What I think is crazy is that Jen McCabe didn't go in the house for the first responder or the blankets. Let's see.
And made up things. I mean, God help Aiden Kearney in his case and the civil case, because
And
it's not going to
Carney.
be like the criminal trial. I think we all know that. So
Yeah,
if these things are the only things they have, then
Well,
good
let
luck.
me just clarify.
Yeah, no, see what they're gonna get in Aiden's case is a whole lot of stuff from phones that proves he was set up for intimidation. If you're not following any of that, I followed some of it. And they literally sat him, they they just stacked it, trying to get him for something, to get him to hush, to get him out of their hair. That's what they were trying to do. Yep. At the pizza place, when they were going close to Meredith, that was the most grotesque thing in the world. And the thing is, in all honesty, Turtle Boy couldn't do anything because he was on probation. If he would have started a physical or anything, he would have been arrested. However, they could heckle them and treat them like garbage. And Chris Albert could threaten to wipe his face up and down the roadway. You know, Chris Albert could whine and say how he's intimidated. You know, the same man that killed a man 20 something years ago. Yeah, a timeline. Oh my gosh. They're just
The
I
Sandra
mean,
Bullock thing for just
well,
a
that's
moment.
where it's coming from, right? It's coming
Right.
from Aidan
From
Kearney
him.
and his
I couldn't tell you,
little
but I will tell you this.
person.
Sandra Bullock,
And
I love
oh my gosh. This has something to do with I don't know the whole story. I'm not going to go into it, but they were talking about people to play them in the movies, and they had figured out who was going to play all these people. And I think it was actually just in the beginning of when John O'Keefe had passed, which I I'm dumbfounded over that. I mean, who would be thinking movie? So I don't really care about that. But anyway, they laugh a lot about that. I guess so. Kerri Roberts wanted Sandra Bullock to be like playing her. I would hope Sandra would have a whole lot better things to do in her life. That just oh oh where are they? Let's see. I want to listen to her talk about picking up John's phone, and she seemed to have even left with John's phone because she had it when they were fixing to take Karen to the hospital.
I've learned in statement analysis when, the Karen fanatics will be like, oh my God, Jen referred to John as a man. I believe it was, right? A man in the snow.
Mhm.
But here's the thing.
Because there was a man in the snow.
Right. And here's the thing.
Is there a
statement
script for that?
analysis,
Is there like a way,
right. And in statement analysis, you will kind of put little checks next to things that stand out to you that could mean something in a cluster, right? So, like not referring to a person in a particular way or using proper pronouns or whatever can show that they're trying to separate themselves, right, from a situation or an event. But you need it in clusters. You need it more. It's not a sign of deception when you have one moment here or something else way over here. It's like you have to collect a collection of signs in order to say there's probably deception here. And you got to bring context to it because, okay, well, what does this mean? Well, she wanted to get out as much information as quickly as possible to get emergency care there as quickly as possible. And her to say the most important details in those first few seconds.
That's a regurgitation of what Jen McCabe said. So let's see. Yeah, they talk about none of the neighbors came outside. Um, okay, let's see. Is this it? Yeah, let's listen to Kerri again.
Went and got Mr. and Mrs. O'Keefe. I wasn't hysterical. I wasn't because it was not the scene to be hysterical. You had one person who was hysterical and rightfully so. That's her boyfriend that she loved. He's there. There he is. Of course, she's going to be crazy and hysterical running around.
Wow, that's her boyfriend that she loves. Of course, she's going to be hysterical. Wow. So Karen Reed is a human that's allowed to feel those things. Wow. And Karen Reed is also a human who was not allowed time to grieve or process any of this, let alone every single person that she knew turned on her. Well, I'm sorry. Every person that she knew that was associated with John O'Keefe turned on her. No, the Colakethis did not.
But I was just like, okay, we need to I don't know what to do, but I need to get to the O'Keefes and let them know that something has happened. I truly thought he might make it. I think in my subconscious, I knew, probably not, but I truly thought like, no.
Well, because you had hope.
Mm-hmm.
There was
I
hope
mean,
there in,
yeah,
in
there
your
was
mind,
hope.
Cam.
For sure.
I had hope because I literally looked in the back of the ambulance and I saw tubes moving and I was like, okay, they wouldn't be working on him if he was gone. Like they wouldn't be, they would, right? Like you wouldn't,
Yep.
you know?
No, that makes sense.
I think when you were talking about the not coming out of the house, I told you this before. I always think about it when my son and I lived down the Cape. We woke up one morning and we were walking outside or something, and a neighbor said to us, "You know, can you believe what happened last night? That was so crazy." And we're both like, "What?" And he tells us this story that the guy across the street, something very tragic happened in the house, and there were like I actually Googled it. No one in the history of the world has murdered anyone and put them on their front lawn.
No shit.
Because why would you, right?
No one.
But here's what I say to people.
And they're laughing about that, right? They're laughing about that. I believe that what happened to John was an accident, but it turned into M1, in my opinion, when they decided that they weren't going to call 911. And I believe that I don't know what their plan was because Karen hadn't come back yet. So they couldn't have planned for it to be Karen. They would have had to have had, tail light or something from her vehicle. So I thought, well, they planned to just leave it go. And when he was discovered, pretend to be shocked and claim that he was hit by a plow. Just like Karen said, she thought he had been hit by a plow. Maybe that was a feeling that she was having that made no sense to her, right? It made no sense to her to feel that. But what was their plan? It was to blame anybody but themselves. They had to have a plan. I mean, I don't know. Were they going to say, oh my God, he never came in? How'd he get here? I mean, duh. Even though Jen had been texting him. I mean, ha ha ha. Laughing about this is not funny at all, but y'all seem to think it's funny.
People will say, but, and I go, just riddle me this, okay? I said, so John gets out of the car with his cocktail glass with a straw. Does he hold on to it while he's brought in the house, beat up, mauled by a dog, and then dragged unconsciously to the front lawn and then just decides to let it go? Like,
or better yet, he was holding his cocktail glass, and when the car ran into him, he didn't drop it yet, but then he was found with a broken piece of cocktail glass, but I don't believe it was found with all the cocktail glass. And the cocktail glass on the bumper did not match the cocktail glass in his hand. Riddle me that one, Sugar Plum.
come on.
Come
you can't be that
on.
dumb.
No,
Right.
it's common
You
sense
can't.
101.
And Karen says he was skipping. He was walking to the, well, in one of her interviews, his cup was full, which we know in the bar when he walked out, it was not full.
Oh my God. She didn't mean he came out to the car and filled it up with something. So see, look at how you're reaching. You're saying, oh, because she said his cup was full, she had to have booze in her car. Had she had booze in her car, sweet cheeks, it would have been inventoried. It would have been brought out. They would have talked about it.
So if his glass was full, that means she had liquor in her car and they filled that cup up. And that's if
That's a reach.
that part of the story is
Or
true. But
was it?
she says he walked and he sort of skipped like
Don't you know what that
That's
looks
how he
to the
like?
front door.
It is.
And
He did a little skip.
And to think that he's in the snow with a full glass and walk skipping It just doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't.
The glass and the straw were found around where he was found. So if he walked to the door with it, what did he toss it back and was like, "I'll grab that later"? Like it doesn't make
Or
sense.
Kerri, it didn't even match the cups in the bar. I mean, oh my gosh. It did not match the cups from the bars. But go on, y'all, go on.
Higgins collected the straw and every little piece of shard.
Oh my God. The straw in the street could have been from anyone, anything, anytime. Thank you very much. Every little piece of shard. That's because the pieces of shard were in whatever they put it in to go dump it on the lawn. They even had an extra in the bag. Or did you miss that?
It's so wild and absurd, and not to mention it completely defies the logic of his phone not going in. I mean, he would have had to walk 32 miles per hour to make it to the door and back.
I picked the phone up. I picked the phone up after they lifted his body. I am on video picking the phone up. It was grass beneath him because probably, I would imagine, because it started snowing on top of him and his body temperature probably melted if anything was on the ground.
No, it would not have kept his phone warm, Kerri. That defies logic. If that phone would have been out there from 12:40 a.m., 12:45 a.m. until 6 a.m. when he was discovered, it would have been frozen and powered off.
Underneath him, it was grass. It's been questioned. Was it really grass? No. I know what grass looks like. It was grass. It was his phone. They lifted him, and I think at the same time, I went over to grab the blankets that I keep in the back of my car, which is, anyway, I grabbed the phone. At one point, I had Karen's phone and I think John's phone at the same time because I was on the phone with her mother, giving her mother my phone number and saying, "I'm going to go to the hospital. If you want to call me, I'll be right behind her. I have to get the O'Keefe's. Like, take my phone number down. I can give you any updates I can." Like, I don't, and I would do it all again. If the O'Keefe's needed a ride, if Mrs. Reed needed my phone number, I would do it all again because the situation was, we didn't know what the hell was happening. It was not a good situation, but we didn't know.
I don't think you still know because you're not listening to the facts.
What's your relationship with Jen McCabe like now?
Thank you for doing that. Thank you
Oh
for
my
doing that
God.
for the O'Keefe.
There was dang it, there was something else that she said that just really had me. I'll find it later. It was just too funny for me. But that's enough. So those are they just I don't even know. But y'all are more than welcome to go watch these people and see if you can figure out what they make no sense. It just makes no sense. And I just thought I would share it since I'm sure that there are other people that support Karen Reed that are trying to figure out what in the world people that think she's guilty, what are they basing that on? And there's not a single fact. So I'm still baffled. I'm still baffled. And as far as the O'Keefes, I'm so disappointed that the Commonwealth did not do honor and justice for John O'Keefe. I'm flabbergasted because this sideshow should not be happening. There should have been a thorough investigation, immediate and thorough. And if you watch the Brian Walsh case, those people in the town where Anna was killed know how to conduct an investigation. Morrissey even came out just to do a lap as a winner contender, and he had nothing to do with it. The people that did it from the DA's office did not have any assistance or direction from Morrissey, but he got to come out and do you know, I was going to say a courtesy lap. I'm getting tired. Like a winner's gallop around, and it was the most sickening thing I've ever seen. So I think what these people need to understand is their politics needs an overhaul. And John O'Keefe, if he ever does get justice, it's going to be because Karen Reed is continuing to fight and hoping that the truth comes out and that the people responsible for his death will pay the price. You know, I just wish people would give her a break. I can say Karen Reed doesn't know me from Adam, and I wasn't able to donate very much. And we we're middle class. We should be retired. Can't do that. Um, but there's just no way if we were in a situation that Karen Reed is in, we couldn't afford attorneys like Alan Jackson. And John O'Keefe does deserve justice. And I really wish that the FBI would go ahead and have all their ducks they want rode up and come on in and put a stop to all of this that's going on. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And it's a sad, sad thing that it's costing Karen Reed a fortune. And they did a fundraiser for her just yesterday, I guess, or day before. Maybe it was Friday, and on LTL Media. So if you can donate or are interested in doing so, if you go there, I'm sure they've got her link. I don't know how to do all that. I've got to figure that out. Eventually, I'll figure stuff out. By then, maybe my YouTube may do something. It may not, but it may. So, hey, Pat Shannon, how are you? I was just fixing to get off. Okay, Friday. Yeah. So I don't get it. I don't get it at all. I don't understand it. Um, Seeing these people and what they have to say, they they're ignoring any proof there was, and they're ignoring the fact that highly against the Commonwealth. And I'm not going to get over Aperture sitting up there just being just the most biggest pompous ass I've ever seen, and then claiming I forgot what I was saying. The feds need to step in on Turtle Boy case. Honestly, this Cosgrove theme is nuts. It, it's all nuts. It's all crazy. It's out of control, is what it is. Well, listen, it is after 1. Got to get my husband to go to bed and get rest because so hopefully I will find certain pieces of what I want to point out, and I'll just do a different video that's more to the point. But I have like 4 or 5 of you guys that like to hang out with me when I want to go on a rant. And I wanted to go on a rant because I was like, you've got to be kidding me, right? These people are just out there, and they really are. And I'm not trying to be ugly. I'm not being ugly at all. I will message you, Pat. I will. I hope you're doing really good, and I'll message you either tonight or tomorrow. Aperture was absolutely unbelievable. Good night, pal cat. But I can't agree anymore on that. That to me was one of the most embarrassing testimonies ever. And the funny thing that I found with that is that Aperture, as much, I mean, he truly was an ass. I don't know, car could take off into space. Not likely. Such a jerk. But he was so full of himself, and he sat there and I was never okay with the fact that the defense couldn't have Easter testify, but the Commonwealth would bring this guy from. However, the X-rays, did they honestly think that the defense wasn't going to find the X-rays? Yet, Welcher got up, he was like, "There are no X-rays." So, I mean, they just had so many bad strikes against them, in my opinion, and um, I can't imagine anyone. Well, no, let me take that back. I can imagine the people that are guilty and want things to be done their way will hire Aperture if they're still around because they definitely showed their testimony is for hire, in my opinion. It wasn't their expertise and knowledge to make a determination as to what happened. It was, we want you to prove this happened this way. But they really did look like a bunch of blooming idiots, didn't they? Well, your ego was laughed, but yeah, it was almost it was embarrassing to me. It really was just himself. Yet he couldn't remember anything. He had to read his report. And Man Shannon killed his own career. Yet another liar. Well, and they switched stuff in the middle of trial, because, and that's the whole thing. They switched it because of what the report from ARCA said. And so they changed theirs again. Oh, but that was okay. I mean, Beverly just allowed so much dumb shit, didn't she? It was really crazy. Yeah, that they want to be able to say that they have experts. The experts conclude their what they're claiming, and if the price is right, that's just like Morrissey. He begging for money to persecute Karen Reed for crimes she didn't commit. So, well, what do you got going on there, right? Well, listen, y'all, I will probably do another video or two. I probably won't be going live again before Christmas. Um, I've got all my wrapping done, but there's still some things I need to do and playing, and I'll be helping. All the grandkids are out of school, so Um, it'll be loud if I try to do one during the day. I may still try, but I've also got to help with the great grandbaby. My daughter babysits my great grandbaby, so I'll have to help out a little bit of that too. Bev is corrupt as hell, and Karen is still free. I agree 100%. Oh, thank you, my person's monkey. I hope each and every one of you have a beautiful, wonderful Christmas. And I hope that you're treated with kindness and love and that you're surrounded by the people you want around you the most. That's the best thing I can think of for Christmas is just being able to be with love. I'm going to say goodnight. I know I rattled a lot, but these people just woo, drove me nuts. Y'all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Aw, you're sweet. I love being a nana, and I've been a very active nana. I've had to be for in the beginning, and now I just am because it's just I love it. I'm so blessed that I've lived long enough that I've got three grown grandchildren. My son's family. My daughter has three youngins. I have a 11-year-old, 7-year-old, and 4-year-old here, and then the great grandbaby. She either has her 4 days a week. This coming week, she's only got her two. So, um, and then of course we've got her pit bull, which is my daughter's pit bull. Is what I'm saying. She's something else. We have a full house. We're pretty loud. So, but I'm extremely blessed that I have my family with me, and I know that. I know that so much, and I'm always grateful and thankful. So, I hope everybody has a beautiful holiday. I hope everybody stays safe and be careful on on New Year's Eve. If y'all haven't heard from me by then, um, be very safe on New Year's Eve too. So, we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.